So, okay. So, welcome. Let me first thank you for being here today. My name is Nuno Silva, and I'm an engineering manager at Pipedrive. I'm here with Bruno Domingos, product manager at Pipedrive, and Inês, a product design manager, to share with you how we build a product as a tribe. So, and before we start with the how, let's start with what. What is Pipedrive? So in the brief history, Pipedrive is a company that was created about 9 years ago, in 2010, in a remote country called Estonia, in the North Europe. And it was created by 5 persons. 2 of them were experts in sales, 3 of them were experts in startups. So they joined together to create the best CRM, specially targeted to sales. And today, 9 years after, this is still their mission. And some figures about Pipedrive. We currently have 6 offices in 5 different countries. We have the office of New York, that is specially customer support and finance and sales. We have the Lisbon office, where we have all the organizations. So we have customer support, support engineering, products. We have G&A, and probably that's it. And we have the same organization in Tallinn, that is our mother office. We also have a small office in the south of Estonia, in Tartu, a small university city. We have an office in London that is specially targeted for marketing. And finally, we have an office in Prague. Prague is exclusive for engineering. We currently have 85,000 customers. And from this, we have about 300,000 active users. Currently, we surpassed the 500 mark of employees around the world. And we are in Lisbon since March 2007. We recently made 2 years here. We started with 1 person, and now we have more than 100. And finally, we had 3 rounds of investment, about 90 million in total, where 60 of which was only last year. And in brief presentation, this is Pipedrive.
Pipedrive is a complete sales CRM platform designed by experienced salespeople. It's the perfect way to visually display your team's sales processes and automate the essential but repetitive tasks you need to accomplish. You can track your team's performance using customizable KPIs which match the industry you operate in. By making Pipedrive your weapon of choice, your team will smash targets with ease by breaking down strategic goals into small, everyday tasks. The interface is visually intuitive and highly organized, which is why sales teams around the globe love using it. Because Pipedrive gives you focus and shows you what deals need your attention the moment you log in, no matter where you are. You can integrate your existing tools and processes, customizing it to your business. As a complete CRM platform, Pipedrive will automatically sync your emails and log your calls, keeping everything you need to know about a prospect in one neat place. So now you can stay focused, save time, and close more deals. Selling has become beautiful again. This is Pipedrive. We make salespeople unstoppable.
So we are here to talk to you about how we build a product as a tribe. But before that, there were teams. So we were organized in teams before, and teams are awesome. And in the beginning, they are really productive. They are, given a task to implement or a project, and they are really motivated to it. They don't have, any other distractions. They don't have bugs. They are really focused on getting that delivered. They have room to improve their tools and their processes, and everything is great up to a point. That point, from our experience, from what we could understand, comes 6 months to a year later, where the teams started to have lots of code bases to take care, bugs to resolve, admin tasks, and motivation starts to drop. Why? Because they're working on the same features for a long period, and they don't have time to be innovative anymore. We realized that we needed a new model to operate, and that model needs to, essentially give the teams the opportunity to, have different challenges all the time. experiment and innovate the same way they did when they were, a new team. They need focus. They don't want to be, working on a project and be sorting out bugs and, performing those admin tasks that I was referring to. And above all, they need to feel motivated. And sometimes that means that they, need to be bold. They need to fail so they can learn. And, so the motivation can be brought back into those teams. For that, we came up with this concept of tribes and missions. So I'll start to explain what a tribe is and what a mission is. A tribe is, well, essentially a couple of teams, 2 to 3 teams put together. And there are different roles, different competences in the tribe. It's not just about engineering, it's about product as well. And, well, essentially, this is our tribe here in Lisbon. It's called Tagus Tribe. As you can see, we also have fun. It's just not about focusing and getting things delivered. It's about having fun as well. There are different roles in our tribe. As you can see, product managers, designers, data analysts, researchers, engineers, developers, a lot of them. And we call ourselves Tagus Tribe because of the river. We have to find a way then to work in the same way. So it's not just the Lisbon tribe that is there in Pipedrive. In Tallinn and in Tartu, there are also other tribes working towards building, a great product. But we need a common framework so we can understand each other. And at the end, we essentially work in the product in the same way. So we came up with this concept, or we kind of adopt this concept of missions. What's a mission? It's essentially, a period of time where some people from the tribe can work in a specific topic for essentially 1 to 3 months without any sort of distraction. So they are focused on building that. For that, we usually get ourselves into a room, apart from everything else, apart from the maintenance team, apart from all other distractions as I was talking about, and essentially we decide how we want to approach a certain topic, a certain feature, or to evolve a new one. We decide how we want to work, if it's Scrum, Kanban, how many retros we should have, how many, or what time is the daily Scrum. So in the end, the main goal is that we communicate, that everyone is aware of the problem that they want to solve and the solution that we want to deliver. This is the mission framework. There are 3 different stages. So first one being preparation, second one is execution, and the third one is the learning. In the preparation phase, there are 3 steps. First one is the problem identification. At this stage, we want to, essentially know what's our next biggest challenge. And for that, we want to know what our customers' problems are. Everyone in the company can, bring ideas into the table. We're mostly focused on understanding and gathering problems, not so much feature requests or wishes. And for that, we talk with everyone, like customer support, sales. We interview customers, not just Pipedrive customers, other competitors' customers. We talk to evaluators, people that are testing Pipedrive, and for some reason they decided not to convert. We even interview what we call potentials, people that are somewhere using an Excel sheet. They don't know what a sales tool is. Essentially, we want to know, as I was saying, what their struggles are, what the annoyances are. We're not so much interested about what their wishes are. And when we do identify those problems, the next step is to essentially break them down into questions that allow us to understand exactly what the pattern is. And for that, we then prepare, based on these questions, we prepare surveys. We send those surveys to several segments. We use personas to kind of split and define the segments. Also, number of seats or number of teams, team sizes. There are several criteria. And we're after qualitative data at this stage, not so much about quantitative data, which was essentially the goal of the previous stage. And here we want to know what the reach of this problem is. Once we get the numbers and we're sure that this is something worth investing, we set the goals that we want to achieve by solving this problem, and we move to the next stage.
Okay. Yeah, it's working. I hope you can hear me. So I'm going to be talking about the next phase, which is ideating on concepts. So at the moment, we are still in the preparation phase before going on a mission. And after identifying the problem and validating the problem, we then can start working on mock-ups and working on those visuals to represent a possible solution. And at this point as well, the mission lead, and we're going to talk more about missions, but the mission lead is chosen, so he's there with us, normally with the designers, also with researchers, and we do work on some mock-ups, on some visuals, so we are able to estimate the time that we're going to spend building that feature. And normally this can be done on a whiteboard. We can brainstorm, we can do it on the paper, we produce some lo-fi prototype, but it's all very quick. And we also, it also allows us to work and define maybe what we want to measure and what success looks like down the road. So this is our final stage of the preparation, which brings us to the pitch. And this is something that happens at Pipedrive every Tuesday, which we call Pitching Tuesdays. And all the offices stop. It's maybe a bit too strong, but we all get together and we look at the big screen and we're all synced into this one place. And we can see each other and we have some free snacks. It's also fun. But the idea of the pitch is, okay, let's consolidate all the information and present our idea. And we have to be clear, and we have about 6 minutes to do so. And it's very important to define what the idea is, maybe potentially what it can look like. And it looks more or less like this. So we work on this presentation, and this is just a video. And we are also recruiting. So the mission lead is there. We normally know half of the team or so, but we're also recruiting. In this case, we're recruiting 3 engineers. And we would like them to be engaged enough to apply for this mission. Okay, so they get to pick. Okay, is this an exciting mission? And that's our objective. So that brings us to the next stage of the framework. After preparation comes execution, and it starts with gathering the team. Okay, so now they know what the mission is going to be about, they know they're going to be excited about it, and they want to work on it. And then for them to apply, we have a mission tool. And this is something that was built by us, and it's not only just to apply for the mission, but if, for example, in this case, we were hiring 3 developers, perhaps if 10 applied, this is the perfect time for the PM and also the lead engineer, the engineering manager, to filter them. Preferably, they'll also be free for the duration of the mission, so we want to be focused. And of course, there are several roles there. And then validate the solution. So now we have the team, awesome. We're going to start the actual work, the actual mission. We kick off the mission, and we want to focus on speed. And why? Because obviously we're doing agile. This is just another way of doing so. And we want to prototype, we want to test. We tested with real customers. And we do it very quickly because we want that feedback as quickly as possible. So we don't focus on the quality, it's more about getting the feedback and iterate on that, so we are sure about what we are building, or what we're going to build. And I'm pass it to you.
So at this point, uncertainty is reduced. We have the scope, we have the team, we have probably know what type of integrations that we are going to do, how much they are going to cost, and this is how when the real work starts. When the developers start to work on the final code, try to understand what the final architecture will be. And of course at Pipedrive, like many other companies, we use a microservice architecture approach. So each team, whenever they develop a feature, is isolated from the rest of Pipedrive. They can have 1, 2, 3 microservices. It depends on the solution. Of course, we have a stack. We have a predefined stack within Pipedrive. We usually use Node plus TypeScript in the backend, and we use React and TypeScript in the front end. But it depends. Engineers decide. Engineers decide which is the best technology to resolve the problem that they are facing. And we don't have a lot of technology stacks at Pipedrive, but we have more PHP because it's our initial language, the initial language that the initial monolith back 9 years ago was built upon. We have Go because some services require some scalability, and Go resolves the problem really well. And we have microservices in C#. So it depends on the problem that we are resolving, and that is decided by the engineers as soon as they know what they are building. Of course, for this, we usually have boilerplates and libs that make our job really easy. So we have a lot of services that we integrate within Pipedrive. We have RabbitMQ, we have Kafka, we have Datalog, we have New Relic. So we have a couple of services in our infrastructure that our microservices rely upon, that we already built these libraries and boilerplate to make it easy, that interaction. And of course, if in the previous phase, it was a proof of concept phase, now, and quality was not required, now quality is front and center, okay? We do unit tests, but mostly we do functional tests, okay? We have to reduce as much uncertainty as possible. And why? Because of the maintainability and supportability. Of course, when the mission lands, we have to have all monitoring in place because we need to know how our customers are using the tool. But also, alerting has to be in place. We don't want to be warned of the problems after they happen. We want to know the problems before they happen. So every time a mission lands, everything has to be in place, at least the minimum requirements. Of course, high test coverage. And I'm not talking about 100% test coverage, okay? I'm talking about 100% functional coverage. We know, and with the help of product and product design, what are the primary flows of our clients. So we test the functionality. Of course, we also do unit tests, and integration tests, but mainly we focus on functionality and test all the flows that the user might have, both in the front end and both in the back end, okay? Documentation is also required. Why? As you notice, there are about 20 developers in the tribe, okay? But only a few of them participate within the mission. This means that after the mission lands, the information has to flow, and we have to pass this information to the other developers because they are not part of the mission. And because of this, we usually document everything within Git, and they have all the information required. Of course, we do onboarding first, but for new people that join the tribe, they have a go-to place where they can find all the architecture, all the repositories, what does that feature does, and what are the microservices involved. And of course, after the code is complete, we have the launchpad. And the launchpad lead has to approve. And you can ask, what is the launchpad? So when engineers are not in a mission, they are in the launchpad. So what is the launchpad? It's a place where we correct bugs into production. We do research and develop of new features or follow-up features. When we do training, because if the mission is really fast-paced because we have the time box for it to end, the launchpad is more easygoing. So we have time to do things and do the things correctly. And of course, there are some small features or improvements that has to be done because we cannot do and we cannot think of everything to do within the mission. So product continuously to iterate, and of course, small iterations are done in that place, okay? And the Launchpad lead has to approve. We have a checklist of things that have to be checked before the mission lands, and if everything is correct, the mission lands within the Launchpad. So this is, so we are getting to the last parts of the iteration, the learning phase. And within this phase, in the beginning of this phase, the product is developed. So the feature is developed, okay? This means that its code completes and its feature complete. So everything is in place. The scope as was originally defined by product everything is there. The quality is assured, alerting and monitoring, it's okay. But we have to review. We have to make a retrospective of what we done well, what we should improve, and we have to pass that information to the other tribes, because this is the only way to improve the process as a whole. We have around 10 tribes in Pipedrive in 4 different locations. This means that in each location we have a different culture, different ways of working, okay? And with this, information has to be shared. What works best, what we should improve, what is that step that is not making so much sense. And what you see here is the results of 1 year of retrospectives and feedback. This is not the same as it were 1 year ago when we imagined all this framework, okay? So what you see here is the results of what we squeezed of the mission and the tribe framework. Of course, I have 1 slide left. So it gets me to the demo. And what's the demo? The demo is where we present everything to the rest of Pipedrive. Do you remember Pitching Tuesdays? Pitching Tuesdays has a section in the end that is available for the missions that land. And in that section, we present what we have done. Normally, a person that was part of the mission takes care of the presentation and presents the feature to all the stakeholders or the tribes, and everyone can ask questions. And some questions might create issues to be improved that probably is going to analyze and see if it makes sense or not. Finally, after everything is done, the demo is presented, we start to test with beta testers, we start to test with real customers, and we have to understand if this feature makes sense. Because even with this process, we might fail, okay? Of course, we reduce the uncertainty of the whole process, but we might fail. And this is the phase where usually products analyze how the clients are using our feature, if it makes sense to continue, if it makes sense to drop, okay? We continue to do interviews, to gather feedback, to check the numbers. Is it growing? Why it's not growing? So why, okay? And at the end of the day, we might decide to drop the feature, or we might decide to improve it. And then comes the follow-up mission that does exactly the same cycle over again. But of course, we do not start from the zero. We start from a grow feature that is already in use, where we are gathering feedback, and we improve from that point forward.
It's me, I think. Yes. Okay, so we've talked about maybe some new words and concepts here. We just wanted to do a quick recap. So we've talked about tribes, we've talked about missions, the pitch, and also the launchpad. So just to go over it a little bit more, again, tribes are nothing but just a team, but we do mix the roles and we are together for some period of time with one single goal, and to that we called a mission. The pitch and the demo. So we have one day a week where we do the pitch. We want everyone to know what we're working on, but we also want to let everyone know how it went, how did it work for us, how it's going to be hopefully working for the users. So that's Pitching Tuesdays. And whoever is not on the mission, it's in the Launchpad, and they're taking care of existing features, they're maintaining those features. It's also where, for example, the engineers that are on call are, and they are supporting the rest of the features. So I think, as we've said before, we've been using this framework for more or less a year, and it's important to know how we feel about it. So, like everything else, there's good things and bad things. We tend to hear a lot of good things about it. People are engaged. They're more engaged now because they can change the project they're working on, so they don't have to work on the same project for 2 or 3 years. They work with different people. They also gain new knowledges and can learn new technologies. That's some of the feedback. And of course, we're breaking silos this way because we are communicating more and involving more departments. And there also there can be some less positive things, and one of them is about the Launchpad, for example. One of the feedback we heard is that the Launchpad lead can sometimes struggle with prioritizing tasks, especially when there's a lot of developers in the Launchpad, and or developers or designers, when we're there for a long period of time. That can be maybe less engaging at times. Nonetheless, this is something we tried out. Maybe it's for you, maybe it's not. We think it's all about having fun in the end, so it may be something you want to try or can implement where you are. And we're also hiring. This is the end of our presentation. Do you have any questions? If so, please let us know.
Hi. How large is your team, and percentage-wise, how many are on missions and how many are on the Launchpad?
You want to take this one?
So normally we have, in a full-fledged mission with 20 developers, about 4 product leads and about 4 product designers. That is essential what we have in Pipedrive. Usually we have 2 missions ongoing with about 5 to 8 developers. We have a minimum number of persons in the Launchpad, engineers in the Launchpad, and usually product does not scale. So usually it has, the product lead is taking care of the global vision, and the product managers usually 2, and the product designers, 2 are on the mission, usually, every time. 1 is preparing the future mission. So we have a cadence. So when one lands, another departs. The same is valid with product designers, okay? So usually, to answer quickly, 2 missions ongoing, 1 in preparation, and the other people in the Launchpad.
Hi. How long does one cycle take? One mission?
1 mission, how
long?
I can answer. 1 to 3 months is time box.
Yeah, so your tribes are location-based. I was wondering if you have any tribes that are across geo and pull from different sites.
Not at the moment. There are a couple of initiatives to actually bring in some developers from different locations. There's also another initiative to have a tribe working 100% remotely. Those are, just initiatives for now. It's work in progress. We haven't really completed a mission in this form, but it's something that we want to try, definitely.
More questions, please don't be shy.
Come on. No? Yeah? Doesn't work? Good.
How do you avoid getting into that usual trap that people sometimes like to work with certain people? So do you encourage people to just basically have like a rotation? So some people that say, oh, I only like to work with those 3 or those 4 developers, so I'm just going to be on those missions where they are. Do you have that problem, or is that not a problem?
I can talk for product design, and the answer is no. We're just curious about what was just asked. I wonder how it's going to be when we maybe do the remote working on a mission. But in terms of not being very confident about your team and working with certain people on that team, my answer is no. I've never felt that. And
on the engineering side, we usually take care of that in the hiring process.
exactly.
But of course, there are some cases where people don't get along. There are only a few. It's the exception, not the rule. Usually, it's up to us to know who are these people. And because developers can apply, we can control that. So when they go on mission, we know who is going on mission. And at that phase, we can take care of that problem and prevent those kinds of scenarios.
However, there's something we also do, and the whole purpose of this is actually for people to work together and not always with the same people. Mm-hmm. Usually, whomever comes from a mission has to stay in the launchpad for a while, and whoever was in the launchpad goes in mission after in the next one when it takes off. There are some rules we don't like to strictly follow them. Just because, but yeah, we tend to use the model to kind of prevent and those situations, and more than that, to overcome those situations. Because sometimes you might think that you don't like to work with someone, but in the ideal scenario, that can turn out quite well.
How do you prevent?
Sorry.
How do you prevent from the best workers or the most experienced workers to get picked? And if you do that, to try to the less experienced programmers, in my case, to get picked, how do you get motivated that the best workers or most experienced are in the launchpad, because it's probably not so exciting job as going on a mission?
Well, we have developers. We have 20 developers, so we have several developers in each stage of development, so to speak. We have seniors, mid-levels, and juniors, and we try to mingle them up. Okay, when we go on mission, usually we'll have more experienced developers, less experienced developers. Okay, and we try to rotate, of course, and we try to grow people. Even if it's some less experienced developer, we can put him on the mission. And if it's a junior, probably if the mission takes, we have 3 applications, like Inês showed, probably we get a 4th one and put the junior, so him to learn and to be aware, because we know that within that mission, it's going to take a lot of time to onboard the junior, to help the junior to develop, and we might consider that. But usually, we mingle people so we can reduce the uncertainty within missions, and until now, it has been working really well.
You get bigger teams, so that a junior is always with somebody more experienced.
Well, we have bigger teams, and we have a small number of juniors, okay? Currently, we have only 1, okay? And it's an interesting story, because she is also actually product designer, was a product designer that now is a junior developer, but he's a really senior people. But in the future, we are going to have 1 junior. And for this, we have to have a certain capability with the team to onboard that junior and make him grow. So I would not have 10 juniors in my team, of course. I like to have a well-balanced team to prevent those kinds of scenarios. Okay.